He has won the last 10 races it has appeared in America. I think that's 8 in MotoGP and 2 in Moto2. Dylan.
Yeah, guys, I'm just down here on the grid with Scott Redding. Scott, you were one of the first guys to turn up here. You've gotten a bit of a feel to what the track is like with this warmer weather. Does it make you doubt any of the tyre choices?
It doesn't doubt. My only concern is the front tyre, of course, I think for everyone. Same as every year, but I'm seeing a lot of medium front tyres, so, you know, for us, the hard is not really an option. I mean, the Honda can get away with it, but for us, Ducati is not really. So yeah, let's see in the race. I mean, I'm confident with the medium front in this temperature. Had a small crash this morning, but it was my own fault on the white line, so no confidence lost. Just get a good start, get my head down, and see where we go.
We've got you down on the tyre list as hard rear. Are you going to be sticking with that?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I had to use one in this morning. I couldn't get temperature into it, but you know, the guys used a new one this morning, seemed to work quite well. So, you know, I'm still confident for the race, and I believe the tyre will work well.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Scott. Good luck.
Yeah, Scott Redding's had a good start to the season. He's 4th in the World Championship. He has qualified on the 4th row of the grid in 10th place.
Yeah, there's Ricky Rubio, NBA player, famous of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They do know how to name their sporting teams here, don't they? Minnesota Timberwolves. Absolutely brilliant.
That's right. The Green Bay Packers. Yeah, and many other. Valentino Rossi. Hair gets shorter every race, doesn't it, for Valentino Rossi? But he is on that front row of the grid. What about your hair, Dylan?
Well, no, actually someone else from the team with short hair, Maio Meregali. I've just got him next to me now. Maio, really interesting. Both medium front, medium rear. We've just seen Mark. He's decided to go hard front, already harder rear. Are there any doubts with the tyre choice with this warmer track?
We are still doubting. For sure, the front has been already decided, and we are sure 100%. But on the rear, we are still doubting, and we have time to change it. I think we will take the decision just at the last moment.
Maverick has obviously looked very strong so far. Valentino struggling a bit with the pace. Do you think you found something this morning?
I think he will do what he did in Argentina and in Qatar.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, Maio.
What he was trying to say, look, we're trying to make the tyre choice, Dylan. We haven't decided what to use.
I think that was pretty much it. Yeah.
We don't really want to tell you what's going on. Johan Zarco, it's a really good second row of the grid, in the middle of the second row. Danny Pedrosa alongside him. Danny Pedrosa could be a bit of a surprise here, certainly for a podium finish. And Jorge Lorenzo, here he is, completes that second row of the grid.
I think that was quite telling, that last little statement there by Maio Meregali. When he said to Dylan, I think he'll do the same as Qatar and Argentina. I think that quietly, Yamaha, they think Rossi's got somebody for Vinales and Marquez this afternoon. Could add to the spectacle, couldn't it?
Adds to it, doesn't it? And he is starting from the front row of the grid. Asked yesterday, you're starting from the front row of the grid, when you get to turn 1 up that 41-metre high hill, what would you do? Do you got the inside or the outside? He said, you wait and see what the situation is. Dylan.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Paulo Ciabatti, obviously changing to Ducati now. Paulo, very interesting. You guys, or your factory riders, have said soft option rear tyre. I'm sure many people will be thinking, but with so much horsepower, these high temperatures here, how can you make it last?
Well, I know the engineers had a meeting, they checked all the parameters and data, and they took this decision with the riders. So we are confident it's a good choice.
I mean, but do you know, strategy-wise, do you have to conserve a little bit more at the start, or do you just try and manage it when it drops off at the end?
Well, as usual, if you can save the tires at the beginning, if you are in the condition, it's always better, and you know, so you come with better tires to the end of a race. But this is quite obvious. Let's see. I mean, some people think maybe it's a gamble, but our engineers think it's the right choice.
Hey, Paulo, thank you very much.
Well, there's only one way we're going to find out, and this is after 21 laps of this 3rd round of the MotoGP World Championship. There he is, the famous Circuit of the Americas tower. What a view you get from up there.
Many better vantage points to watch the action than that place in the Circuit of the Americas.
You don't like the glass floor, do you?
No. No, don't even go there. Lorenzo in the zone. Pretty difficult start to his factory Ducati career with just 5 points from 2 races. Dylan?
Yeah, guys, let me bring you to another Ducati rider, one that made himself quite famous yesterday, Loris Baza. Loris, please don't do anything similar in the race here like you did yesterday, but look, how confident are you ahead of this?
I'll try to not make it anymore, you know. I lost too much time, but yeah, I feel pretty confident. I think it's the first race where we're gonna see a rider choosing all three rear tire and maybe the front also. So it will be really interesting to see how we manage to save the tire for the race. You know, I decided to go with the soft in the rear, so we have to be really careful at the beginning, and I think we can go to the end with a good pace. I'm confident. I had a good pace this morning. We are not as strong as we was in Argentina, but we are not that bad.
Front tire, is that quite an obvious choice? Most people seem to have mediums on there.
Yeah, but we have our bike is much more easy with the soft in the rear, you know. So for sure the last few laps are gonna be hard, but I'm sure the bike is much more easy to bring to the end with the soft in the rear.
Thank you very much, Loris.
Yeah, Loris Paz has qualified in the middle of the 5th row. An amazing save coming into the final corner and out of the final corner yesterday from Loris Paz, which was well talked about. Had a look there at Andre Iannone, wishing Alex Rins well. I believe he's already making his way home to Barcelona. A compound fracture of his left wrist and could be out of action for a little while.
Yeah, we wish Alex Rins a speedy recovery.
So we're in America. It's round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship, and it's the 30th time there has been a Grand Prix motorcycle race in this fine country.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
Good afternoon from America. Round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship. It is crackling out there. Cal Crutchlow on the 3rd row of the grid. But let's remind you about that front row. Marc Marquez, Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi. The ultimate shootout, we hope.
Yeah, the jet fighters overhead, like a scene from Top Gun, wasn't it? Will Maverick Vinales, the Top Gun, depose Marc Marquez? Will he stop him from winning that 5th successive race here at the Circuit of the Americas? We heard from Scott Running a short while ago, talking to Dylan. What a start it's been in 2017 for him. 4th in the World Championship, top independent rider, back-to-back top 10 so far for Scott Running. His best start to a season since 2013 when he battled for the Moto2 World title with Paul Espargaro.
Yeah, decent qualifying, and he's on that 4th row. He's qualified 10th fastest. Every chance of finishing in that top 10 once again for Scott Redding. What about this man? Jack Miller, of course, winner in Assen last year in the rain. But Jack Miller knows all about winning here. He has won the Moto3 race, and this is his best dry qualifying in MotoGP.
Good run of form, Jack Miller, the 22-year-old Australian. Points in 5 successive races now for the first time in his MotoGP career. And 4 of those in the top 10. So good run of form by Miller.
Well, guys, let me just bring you quickly down here to Jack. Jack, good qualifying yesterday. You've looked strong pretty much all weekend. What are you expecting for this race?
It's going to be a long old race. I think, you know, we're going to have to ride smart, but it's going to be a question mark on the tyres. I think, you know, temperatures have definitely really come up today. It seems a little bit more like it was on Friday, so we'll try and manage the best of the right-hand side as best we can, and yeah, see where we are. You know, like you said, I felt strong all weekend. I feel like we've got decent race pace, so I just got to try and make a decent start, arrive through the first lap safely, and see what happens.
Thanks, Jack. Best of luck.
The fighters overhead, the fighters down on the grid. The safety car leaves the grid. 5 minutes before the start of round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship here in the Texan sunshine. And previously...
Battle coming. The rookie leads. Oh, Zarco's gone down. The dream is over.
Side by side.
Oh, you know he's gone down.
Rossi in through into third place. Vinales up the inside.
He's going to do it.
Vinales wins here in Qatar. Round 2 is underway.
Lorenzo's down.
Lorenzo off the Ducati.
Oh, he's down, Marquez.
Oh, Marquez has crashed. It's over.
Oh, Pedrosa's gone down.
Rossi into second place. Yes, the Maverick Vinales win. Who will reign in Texas? Will it be Marc Marquez, chasing his 5th successive MotoGP victory here at the Circuit of the Americas? Will it be Maverick Vinales, chasing his 3rd successive Grand Prix victory? A full house since he joined Yamaha. And his teammate, Valentino Rossi, has put the Yamaha on the front row of the grid. Doesn't get a lot better than that. So here is that front row. Valentino Rossi hasn't won in America since 2008. Maverick Vinales, double winner this season and a former Moto2 winner here in Austin. And the mayor of Austin, certainly as far as the Circuit of Americas go, 4 successive victories. Can he make it number 5 after taking pole here for the 5th successive time? So welcome back to Austin. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Matt Burt. Down in pit lane, it's Dylan Gray. The grid is lined up. We're almost ready to go.
It's the dream front row. Marc Marquez, a 5th successive pole here in Texas, ahead of Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi. Danny Pedrosa heads row 2 from the rookie sensation Johan Zarco and Jorge Lorenzo, top Ducati qualifier.
Third row, Andrea Dovizioso, Jonas Folger and Cal Crutchlow. Row 4, Scott Redding, Andrea Iannone and Jack Miller.
Danilo Petrucci heads row 5 ahead of Loris Baz after that miraculous save yesterday. He's ahead of his teammate Hector Barbera. Rabat Abraham and Bradley Smith on row 6.
Row 7, we have Alvaro Batista, Sam Lowes, Paulo Ciabatti, and at the very back, Aleix Espargaro. So the 2 Espargaro brothers often at the front, the 2 last places. One more quick word there, Dylan, before they're off. Any last-minute changes?
No, we've not had any last-minute. I believe Hector Barbera and Tito Rabat have decided to go with the harder option rear, if I understood that correctly. But from our front guys, we are still exactly the same as before.
Many thanks, Dylan. There you go, Marquez, Vinales and Rossi. This will be their last look at the circuit before the battle commences. And what a circuit it is. 41-metre climb up into turn 1. Slow and tight, and then a magnificent downhill right-hander, turn 2.
Yeah, it has everything, this circuit, the Americas. Elevation, undulating sections, fast change of direction. This first sector really, really physical as you sweep through turn 3 all the way up to turn 8. You're just constantly manoeuvring that bike from left to right, really, really demanding on the upper body. This is where the Yamaha and Maverick Vinales have been untouchable all weekend so far.
We're on board with Cal Crutchlow, who's just coming up to turn 6 and the left-hander at turn 7. Dylan, we always have to ask you this because the weather's just coming up with the graphic, but I think it's quite an easy answer. We're okay this time round, aren't we?
Certainly, Nick. I've got to say, these are the best conditions we've had so far all weekend because it's not too hot, it's not too humid, there's a little bit of a breeze, Great bit of sunshine out here. The track conditions just around, I think, 30 to a mid-30s. Michelin don't feel the heat should affect the tyres in any major way. It's more to do with what the riders decide to do with their right hand. But it's going to be interesting, you know, what the strategy will be. Michelin have said that medium rear tyre or the soft have better warm-up performance in the first 3 or 4. So basically what they're saying is if you've got Marquez ahead after 3 and 4 with that harder option rear tyre, then I think the other guys might be in trouble.
Good night, Irene. From that moment on, you would say. They are championship positions, a 14-point advantage Vinales has over Rossi. Dovizioso, despite his problems, in 3rd place. And Scott Redding, an absolutely brilliant 4th. But can anybody stop the Vinales run? Can Valentino Rossi's teammate do it from the front row? What about Marc Marquez, chasing number 5 win in a row?
Well, with that extra performance in the first 3 or 4 laps from that medium rear tyre, then it's crucial that Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi can get a good start, maybe get in front of Marc Marquez to put some pressure on him.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw in Argentina, once he gets to the front, although it ended in disaster for him, he was very capable of getting away at the front, wasn't he? But the first few laps will be a little bit tough for him. They have got to make a good start, and they've got to drop him back a bit.
Well, there can't be too many laps around this circuit of the Americas that Marc Marquez has been heading in a race, so he might be in new territory pretty soon. Yamaha will certainly hope so.
So here we go. The Lone Star State in the sunshine. Round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship 2017. The dream front row. Rossi, Vinales, and the world champion, Marc Marquez. What about anybody from that second row of the grid? Pedrosa, Zarco, and Lorenzo. Green flag is shown. We are about to start here in Texas. Round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship. Looks like a great start by Marquez on the outside.
Yeah, Marquez did get away really, really well. So did Rossi. Danny Pedrosa's coming around the outside. Is that Pedrosa to lead the Grand Prix? Rossi on the inside. Maverick Vinales has been swamped. He's back in 5th place, but it's Pedrosa down the hill for the first time that leads. Rossi has a look up the inside of Marquez at turn 2. No way through. Lorenzo got a good start as well. He's up in a 4th.
Great start by Danny Pedrosa, so it's the 2 factory Hondas that lead the way. Valentino Rossi was desperate to get there, wasn't he? Tried all he knew. That's exactly where he does not want them to be with these tyre choices.
Vinales, so strong in the first sector, has already taken that 4th place back from Lorenzo. It's the 2 Repsol Honda men then that lead the way. Rossi in 3rd place from Vinales, and it's Lorenzo. Cal Crutchlow's already picked up a few spots. Crutchlow's moved up from 9th to 6th.
They race down towards turn 11 for the first time. This heavy braking zone into the back straight. Here comes Vinales. Lorenzo closes up on the Ducati. Crutchlow trying to ride around the outside of them. Zarco there as well. Fastest part of the circuit. Longest back straight in the Grand Prix schedule.
Yeah, the Ducati will have the top speed on the Yamaha, surely. Has Lorenzo got it on the brakes against Vinales into turn 12? You bet he has. Lorenzo using all the acceleration and grunt of the Ducati down that 1,200 metre back straight to sweep back through on Vinales. Vinales, though, hits back at turn number 13. He's back up in a 4th place. Great dogfight between Vinales and Lorenzo early on.
Yeah, Vinales replacing Jorge Lorenzo at Yamaha.
Tell you what, Zarco was ruthless on Cal Crutchlow at turn number 11. He got up the inside of him on the brakes, ran Crutchlow out wide. That was a hard but aggressive and fair move by Zarco to take 6th place. He's latched now on the back of Lorenzo.
Yeah, he's trying to get up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo, but there's the 2 factory Hondas that lead the way. There is Zarco, he's got up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo. This Moto2 world champion is on the charge once again as they come into the final corner, turn 20 for the first time here in Texas.
How brave was that? Zarco at the inside of Lorenzo at turn number 18. Pedrosa then leads the way from his teammate Marc Marquez. Then it's Rossi Vinales who's finally shaken off the attention of Lorenzo. Zarco on the charge from 7th to 5th. Then it's Lorenzo, Crutchlow, Dovizioso, Folger and Jack Miller, your top 10.
The race down through turn 2. Plenty of fallers there yesterday in the cold conditions. But Danny Pedrosa, surprise leader, you'd probably say, from the second row of the grid.
Bit of a twitch there as he came through turn 5. Cal Crutchlow said yesterday that he feels that Pedrosa could well be a dark horse because we know that front tyre wear is critical around this circuit of the Americas. We've seen excessive tyre wear in all of the 4 years we've come here on the front end. Danny Pedrosa's weight and his smoother braking style compared to Rossi and Marquez means he won't, in theory, wear and degrade that front tyre quite as fast.
And there's Crutchlow closing up on Jorge Lorenzo. Thought about putting that LCR Honda up the inside of the 3-times MotoGP world champion there on the back straight. Crutchlow, Dovizioso just in behind Cal Crutchlow, former teammates at Ducati, as they come down towards turn 12 on the brakes.
Yeah, pretty much as you were for the last lap or so. All the early action was coming between Vinales and Lorenzo, and then Johan Zarco aggressive up the inside of Cal Crutchlow, and then a brilliant move on Lorenzo as well. So Zarco still holding that 5th place. All the Yamahas inside that top 5 on that medium front, medium rear.
Dylan, how long does it take that harder compound rear tyre to warm up? What do Michelin think? Because they're out there at the front.
Michelin said 3 to 4 laps, that's the advantage you should get with the medium. However, we do have to point out, the harder the guys with the medium tyre, they could also be playing another kind of game.
Vinales has gone. Maverick Vinales has crashed, I'm sure of it. Somebody has gone. He has. Maverick Vinales has gone. Maverick Vinales' perfect start to his Yamaha career is over.
Oh, Vinales has crashed out. Turn 18, it's the left-hander. Vinales walks away, he is okay. But the first big disappointment of the season for the championship leader.
Well, he's human after all. He was out a little bit wide then. I'm not sure if he maybe just caught a bump that caught him out, but it's game over for Maverick Vinales. There will be no dream third successive Yamaha victory for Vinales. First mistake we've seen from him in a race situation in 2017.
No, they probably won't tell them this time. Well, they may do. They've got plenty of time to tell them. Will they tell the 2 Honda riders, Pedrosa and Marquez, that Vinales is out of the race? And ominously, Marquez now has set the fastest lap of the race at 2:05. 2:72. We ride with him. Pedrosa in front of him. Now it's Rossi flying the Yamaha flag, but he too is has in his sights, or Valentino Rossi is in the sights of Johan Zarco. Oh, crash for Karel Abraham.
What this means, of course, as well, is if Valentino Rossi stays where he is, he'll lead the World Championship going to Jerez. He'll pick up 16 points for 3rd, which will put him a couple of points ahead of Maverick Vinales at the top of the championship. And of course, the doors open again now for Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa after their mistakes in Argentina. Pretty much the same stage of the race at a different corner, of course, that Rossi crashed out last year on the Yamaha, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Here we are, coming up towards turn 15. We're riding up with Marc Marquez. Slowest bend on the circuit, the left-hander. That's Dani Pedrosa in front of him. Snatched the lead at the first corner from that 2nd row start, Dani Pedrosa. Couple of podium finishes here previously, has not won here in a MotoGP. And there is Maverick Vinales. Disappointed, obviously, but perfectly okay, which is the most important thing.
First time he's not going to have scored points in 19 races. He's trying to be the first Yamaha rider since Kenny Roberts in 1980 to win the first 3 Premier Class races of the year. That dream's been shattered.
Discussion time with the team for Maverick Vinales. Let's have a look at it again.
Yeah, we're on board with him now. He's in pursuit of his teammate Valentino Rossi. This is out of turn 15. Starts a sequence of fast right-handers. Let's have a listen. He was on the gas. You know what? I'm not sure if he was just a fraction wide and maybe caught a bump, or he just lost the rear ever so slightly, and then that just took the front as well. Well, he is human after all.
Yeah, Lynn Jarvis, the managing director of Yamaha Racing, looks on. Right, Pedrosa leads away. When will Marc Marquez make a move on Dani Pedrosa? He may feel this is the time for me to get the hammer down.
Yeah, because Valentino Rossi at the moment is just struggling to go with the 2 Repsol Honda men. The gap was 7/10 of a second last time around. Dani Pedrosa making that Honda make a few shapes coming through turn number 10. That let Marquez close right up. Pedrosa gets great drive though coming out of turn number 11. Of course, he's quite a bit lighter than Marc Marquez, so he'll have a good top speed advantage down the straight.
17.5 laps to go. They brake hard for turn 12. There is Rossi. He certainly has got Marc Marquez in his sights, and I think Marc Marquez will try and make a move soon. Good battle going on between Crutchlow and Dovizioso.
Marquez is getting the board, Nick.
Yeah, they're telling him he's out. I wonder what, I don't know. Tactics-wise, how does that make him think? He obviously knows that it is Valentino Rossi behind him, but Pedrosa's riding a really good race at the front. Pedrosa, Marquez, Rossi, Zarco, Crutchlow, Dovizioso, Lorenzo, Miller, Folger and Redding is your top 10.
Yeah, Johan Zarco is doing a great job of hanging in there in 4th place. He's not given a sniff to Cal Crutchlow, and he's hunting down Valentino Rossi. As we said then, if it stays as is when we get to the checkered flag, Valentino Rossi will go to the crucial European phase of the championship in Jerez, leading the World Championship by 2 points. And Dani Pedrosa will be up there in 3rd.
He's got the message anyway.
Yeah,
Marc Marquez, he's been told that Maverick Vinales is out of the race.
Yeah, they've got to tell him. They won't want Marquez taking any unnecessary risks, thinking that Maverick's coming through the pack, and then him making mistakes just as he did in Argentina.
Well, here are the 2 Hondas. They have led the way from the start. Valentino Rossi, Johan Zarco, Cal Crutchlow and Andrea Dovizioso all in shot. Another good ride by Jack Miller in 8th place in front of Jonas Folger and Scott Redding.
Zarco's riding out of his skin here. He's riding quite superbly. He was fantastic in Argentina, coming from 14th to 5th. He was brilliant in Qatar when he led on his Grand Prix debut. And here he is, right on the back wheel of Valentino Rossi on lap 5 of the Circuit of the Americas Grand Prix. Absolutely awesome from the Frenchman.
We ride with Marc Marquez and his Pedrosa in front of him onto the back straight. We have 16.5 laps to go. Long way to go yet. Marquez being patient, and let's be honest, he's not being pressured from behind at the moment by Valentino Rossi. And Zarco right with them, just got a glimpse at the back there of Cal Crutchlow. Dovizioso should be there somewhere as well.
Yeah, got to say, Dani Pedrosa at the moment looks pretty comfortable. Marc Marquez likewise looks like he's got plenty in reserve, of course. The crucial factor could be that the 2 Honda men have got the hard front, hard rear combination, which should give them better durability in those crucial last 10 laps of the race. Rossi and Zarco, we know, are on the medium. Zarco didn't even try the hard at any stage during the weekend, so he was never going to roll the dice and gamble and put in a rear tyre that he'd never even done 1 lap on prior to the race this weekend. But he's right in there, isn't he?
Certainly, Ed. Just to remind you, Mr. Einstein next to me got it absolutely spot on. Valentino Rossi would lead the World Championship. It remains the same. Dylan.
Yeah, guys. Just sorry, one comment. Dani Pedrosa is on the medium front tyre. That's the only difference that we have between those 2 Hondas. So that's where you might see a slight difference between them when we come towards the end once that front tyre is wearing down.
Can't be a lot of fun having to watch the race and see you probably lose your World Championship lead.
Fastest lap to Zarco at 2:05.
The fastest lap of the race, and he's closing up on Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, Vinales looked thoroughly cheesed off, as you'd expect, crashing out very early on from 4th place. A rare mistake for Maverick Vinales, his first DNF since Argentina 2016. Yeah, that's interesting. I'd obviously wrongly noted down Dani Pedrosa on that hard front, so you would think that Marc Marquez with that hard front is going to have better endurance, certainly from that front tyre. He's hounding Pedrosa through turn 10 as they drop down the hill on lap number 6.
This is a race that's actually just waiting to explode, isn't it?
However, one of the points you made earlier, Matt, about Dani Pedrosa's weight, I think maybe when we do compare Marc and Dani, we can't necessarily compare them, exactly the same, because Marc does treat that front tyre with a little bit more disrespect than Dani does. So maybe it could also be relatively equal between them.
Yeah, I think you're right. In terms of braking abuse on that front tyre, it's a no contest in favour of Marc Marquez.
Zarco closes upon the brakes of Valentino Rossi at turn 11. There is Jack Miller. Right on the rear wheel there of Jorge Lorenzo. That is the battle for 7th place.
Yeah, good ride here by Jack Miller. Swarming all over the rear tyre of Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo, you'd feel, will be starting to maybe run out of optimum grip with that soft front, soft rear combination. Back at the front, great aerial shot of Dani Pedrosa. He's coming through turn 18 where Maverick Vinales crashed out very early on.
You really have to earn your inches and your meters here, don't you, to close up on somebody around this circuit. It's so long and it's so demanding. And Zarco's doing exactly that. This is up into turn 20 to bring them into the start and finish straight. When they cross the line, there is 15 laps to go. Pedrosa, Marquez, Rossi, Zarco, Crutchlow, Dovizioso, Lorenzo, Miller, Folger and Redding. Then Petrucci, Iannone, Loris Paz, Barbara Batista, Rabat, Alicia Spargaro.
Rossi was out wide at the first corner. Great on board here, looking back side by side with Johan Zarco. Is Zarco going to have a look up the inside? He is, you know. This is brilliant by Zarco. Oh, he pushes Rossi off the circuit. Maybe a little bit too aggressive there by Johan Zarco. Rossi had no option but to take to the slip road and come straight back onto the track. Johan Zarco does not care one bit for reputation. He does not care that you're a 9-time world champion or a legend of the sport. Look at this.
Have a look at this again. Whoa, there is nowhere for Valentino Rossi to go.
Yeah, I mean, Rossi won't be penalised there because he got nudged quite clearly by Johan Zarco. Nothing he could do about that. Zarco.
Actually, it helped him close up on Marquez, but I don't think that's the method he would have perhaps chosen to do exactly that. Here they come down the back straight once again. There is Zarco, Cal Crutchlow really hanging there in 5th place. Pedrosa, Lorenzo, Miller and a Folger with Scott Redding still in
That wasn't
place.
too dissimilar to the Zarco Xavier Simeon moment in Moto2, was it?
Right.
A couple of years ago.
A couple of years back.
Thankfully this time around Rossi stayed on, but yeah, a little nudge there from the Monster Yamaha Tech 3 rider. That wouldn't have gone down too well. I'll tell you what though, everybody will be tipping their hat off again to Johan Zarco. We can't really sound surprised in his performance. Let's not forget he did lead on debut in Qatar. Superb fight back with some spectacular riding in Argentina, and here he is again rubbing shoulders and fairings with Valentino Rossi.
We ride momentarily with Danny Pedrosa. His last Grand Prix win came at Misano when he had an absolutely superb race, didn't he? When he took on the best and beat them quite comfortably. Again, Marquez closes up a little bit on the brakes. Nobody's really made any sort of move so far across the line. 14 laps to go.
Yeah, the two Honda men are picking up the pace a little bit. They've just exchanged fastest laps of the race. Pedrosa got over the line first and did a 2:05.175. It was immediately bettered by his teammate Marquez with a 2:05.102. Couple of tenths faster last time around than Rossi. Danny Pedrosa, Nick, when you think back to last year, he only led 7 laps in the whole of last season. They were all in Misano. Well, he's done that already here so far this year. Coming under pressure again then from Marquez. I just wonder whether Marquez will just have a little bit of extra grip in that front tyre towards the end of the race. He's closing right up now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's closing up. He's going to, one would imagine, make a move. Perhaps he's going to make it at turn 11 or turn 12 on the brakes. Over the rise they come. Down towards turn 11, yeah, it's as close as he's been in the race so far. The race down now towards 11, he comes up out of the slipstream, and Marquez leads the way here at the Circuit of the Americas for the first time. What has Pedrosa got in reply?
Marquez was lining that up from turn 8. He made the move at turn 11, ran in a bit hot though. And Pedrosa, as he has done all race, got brilliant drive out of turn number 11, was able to fight straight back. So Marquez briefly led this Grand Prix, and Pedrosa's now back at the front. They're just slightly stretching away from Rossi in 3rd place. The gap between Marquez and Rossi almost up to a second.
Yeah, of course, Rossi will like it, seeing Marquez get in front and Pedrosa fight back immediately, because it could just slow the pace a little bit at the front. And Rossi doesn't need any second invitation to close up on them.
Then with Marc Marquez looking ahead to his teammate. This is where Maverick Vinales crashed out earlier on. Marquez himself went down at turn 18.
It'll be interesting. He's made one move and it's failed, isn't it?
Yeah.
So will he make the same sort of move, or will he try somewhere else? This is into the start and finish straight, turn 20. There'll be 13 laps to go when they cross the line. He's not quite as close as he was last time. Actually, through the switchback section, then he really did close up on Danny Pedrosa. Up over the rise, down towards turn 2, the 2 Hondas come. There's Rossi, Zarco and Crutchlow in the background.
Yeah, that bump that Zarco gave Rossi a couple of laps ago actually was more costly for Zarco than it was for Rossi. Just lost a bit of contact, didn't he, Zarco? What he's been doing though since he joined Yamaha, he's been meticulously studying Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi's data. Here we go again. He was lining that up again. This is through turn number 8 or 7 rather.
And he's made it stick this time round. He didn't want to risk doing it at turn 11 onto the back straight, but Pedrosa's got that extra power because of his weight. He's actually going to lead the way into that corner. This is a crucial couple of laps now, because Marquez will get the hammer down and try and get away.
Well, history has shown us here at the Circuit of the Americas in the previous 4 seasons that when Marquez has picked his moment to get to the front, that's been it. It's been good night Vienna. He's been able to clear off from the chasing pack. What has Danny Pedrosa got in terms of retaliation. He's got great slipstream, but he hasn't quite got the braking bravery of Marc Marquez down into that turn number 12.
They're through turn 12, down towards 13 and 14, the two right-handers. There is Rossi, Zarco, Crutchlow, and just at the bottom of the picture, or the top of the picture, Andrea Dovizioso in 6th place.
Yeah, if Marquez wins for the 5th year in a row here, it'll put him on 38 points. That'll be only 12 points behind Vinales, 14 behind Rossi if Rossi stays in that 3rd place.
Yeah, any pressure coming, well, the pressure came from Rossi, from Zarco. He made the mistake, and it's probably taken him a little time to get back. It's absolutely crucial now that Pedrosa, well, Rossi as well, do not let Marquez get away, as this race could well be over. We are once again up at turn 20.
You can't question Zarco's bravery or commitment though, can you? Having a lunge up the inside of Rossi through that fast turn number 4.
Yeah, about 0.3 of a second now between Marquez and Pedrosa. There are the two Hondas. Turn 1, where Pedrosa crashed last year, brought down Andrea Dovizioso.
Loris Baz, it's been an eventful weekend for him. That miraculous save yesterday. His race has run its course. Turn 19 for Loris Baz. Yeah, combination of bumps and trail braking there. The front end said no thank you very much.
You don't want to go over to those bumps with the brakes being trailed the way they were. So Marc Marquez leads the way, but we've said that a few times over the last 4 years, and it looks like a problem, but it is a problem for Paulo Ciabatti on the KTM. He's just run off the track, as he coasting. I think
no, he's coasting. You see smoke coming out of the exhaust. Now they'll be hoping that that's not dropping any kind of fluid on the circuit, because Marc Marquez is trying his best here to clear off and drop Dani Pedrosa through the first sector. The gap was up to half a second. Paulo Ciabatti's coming into the pits. Yeah, Marquez found another 10th on Pedrosa again in the second sector, so the gap now 6.5 tenths.
11.5 laps to go. Zarco with Crutchlow just closing the gap on him. Crutchlow running in 5th, obviously Zarco in 4th place. There is Cal Crutchlow, and it's Andrea Dovizioso. Lorenzo fighting off Jack Miller. It's a good old battle for 7th place. Then we have Jonas Folger, Andrea Iannone, Petrucci Redding, Battista Barbara, Lacia Spargo, Bradley Smith 70th, Sam Lowe's, and Paulo Ciabatti, well, as we saw, coasting back with like an engine problem with the KTM.
Yeah, 12 laps to go, and with the soft option front and rear tyres fitted to Andrea Dovizioso and Jorge Lorenzo's factory Ducatis, we're going to get to the phase of the race where they might start to experience a bit of drop-off with those tyres. There's Jonas Folger running inside the top 10 in 9th. Marquez and Pedrosa are over the line. Pedrosa actually took about 0.3 of a second out of Marquez in the last 2 sectors last time around, although they did almost identical lap times.
Here they are up at turn 1, down the hill through turn 2. Marquez, Pedrosa, and a little bit more of a gap to Valentino Rossi, chasing his 3rd successive podium finish this season. Valentino Rossi, and as Matt said, and has been confirmed, he would lead the World Championship when we go into Europe in 2 weeks' time. 4th round of the championship in Jerez.
Yeah, this would be Rossi's 9th podium in 11 races. He really did capitalise on that front row start. I suppose we were denied the kind of epic showdown we'd hoped for between Vinales and Marquez after that early mistake for Maverick Vinales, put him out of the race at turn 18.
This is turn 11 onto the back straight, so that means there's 10.5 laps to go. Pedrosa really is hanging on by his fingernails at the moment. He's putting up. It's good to see Dani Pedrosa ride like this. I remember when we saw him win at Mazzano. It's just pleasing. He is an absolute world-class rider.
Yeah. And this circuit, Nick, 20 corners, lots of undulation, fast change of direction. We know it's so physical, that first sector. And when you're as diminutive as Dani Pedrosa, got to work really hard for your money here. Rossi's to be penalised with a 0.3 second penalty at the end of the race after gaining advantage from turn.
Was it the nudge? Yes, there you go with Zarco. It's a bit harsh, I think. If he hadn't run off the track as the way he did there, I mean, quite honestly, what else could he do? Carry on the same path and bring them both down? You look astounding, Matt.
I must admit, I'm a little bit puzzled by that one. Yeah, I'm not really sure what Rossi could have done. Did he see Zarco?
I don't think so, do you?
Alvaro Bautista's crashed out. Yeah,
I
really don't know.
I think that's.
I can't really see from looking at that replay. I mean, we didn't think it at the time. We said at the time, you know, Rossi had really no option but to run off the track. What else could he have done, Dylan?
No, guys, sorry, just a quick word. Paulo Ciabatti back in the box. Obviously, the team's still analysing, but that belly pan was absolutely, well, there was a lot of fluid in there, looked like oil, and I think that just shows how important these regulations were that came in just a couple of years ago, that these belly pads need to be able to hold a certain amount of liquid. Just shows that, thank God, that did not end up on track.
Aleix Espargaro's come into the pits, compounding an awful weekend for him. Was Alvaro Bautista remounted?
He must have done, because he certainly did crash after that brilliant fourth place in Arctic.
turn 11.
There we go, turn 11 for Alvaro Bautista. And I tell you, at the front, Dani Pedrosa is not giving this one up, is he? That is terrific. 9.5 laps ago, and Pedrosa hanging in there. Did you see the Rossi-Zarco incident, Dylan?
I did. I think I understand why they did it, because I think that their argument is that if Rossi had just held his line, he would have lost more speed, having to recorrect his position in that turn. You know, obviously running on is the slightly easy option. I don't want to. Yeah, no, I think it's correct.
Well, Pedrosa outbraked Marquez going into turn 12, but unfortunately then he outbraked himself, but he's fighting back. This is a terrific battle at the front between the two factory Hondas. Neither of them on the podium this season so far, and they are going like a real old dogfight at the front.
We haven't really seen this in Circuit of the Americas history, have we? When Marc Marquez has got to the front, he's tended to cruise to the victory. He's back in the lead though, it's a great fight here. We're now just talking to Maya Meregali, that's Rick Crichton from the International Race Teams Association, just explaining to Maya Meregali and Lynn Jarvis the penalty for Valentino Rossi. In terms of his position at the moment,
it won't affect
him because he's over a second quicker than Johan Zarco.
1.2 seconds, the board says. We're probably a little bit more up to date than that.
Well, guys, Aleix Espargaro, he came in. The right-hand side of his front tyre is completely, well, it's completely chewed up. So you do wonder whether, with some kind of radical setting or something, has just put way too much weight, way too much pressure on there. Because bear in mind, he went out hard front, soft option rear. It could also be that the soft rear was just pushing the front way too much. Disaster
for Aprilia. Sam Lowe's down at turn 13. So both the Aprilias are out of the race.
Second race in succession. No points then for the factory Aprilia team. Been a weekend to forget for the Noale factory.
What's happening at the front? Dani Pedrosa's trying all he can to save with Marc Marquez, and of course Rossi closing up a little bit. 0.3 of a second penalty for Rossi after that incident with Zarco. Well, it probably won't matter, so perhaps it's not. I mean, they're not going to make a great fuss about it.
I mean, it doesn't look like they're trying to put anything on his pit board just yet, but I will try and keep you guys posted if they do.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
Sage starts getting up.
Well, I think the Rossi
gets in with the Hondas there.
Yeah, the Rossi penalty is going to, I think, divide opinion around the world. Because there are going to be some people who said, well, he gained a clear advantage by running off. He got straight back onto the back of Marc Marquez. There are other people who are going to argue, well, what else could he do? Zarco was up the inside. There was clear contact, and Rossi had no choice but to pick up and run off the circuit.
This is magnificent replay. We saw actually in qualifying as well. First his knees down, then his elbows down. And next would be probably his shoulder on the ground for Marc Marquez. I got to say, my initial look at it, and we've seen it twice now, I think it's a very harsh penalty. Well, carry straight on then, and both the Yamahas would have crashed, wouldn't they? There was really nothing else he could do, I don't think.
I think if you were to say make a direct comparison to the final corner in Assen with Marc Marquez, which I think was equally divided, is that Rossi still had a lot of track left to his right, where I think people would have said, okay, you know, you would have been able to still pull back round, whereas in Assen he was actually off track with Marquez off track as well, so you understand that he had to go on. That's, you know, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, Lorenzo really being hunted down by Miller and Iannone and Folger. Not a bad old ride from Iannone. He wants some World Championship points, and so do Suzuki.
Well, there's been plenty of talking points throughout this weekend. The Maverick Vinales crash, ending his perfect start to 2017, will be another big one. And, of course, the Rossi Zarco incident.
Well, if it remains the same and Rossi finishes third and Zarco's not close enough, it would almost be forgotten. But if he gets in amongst Marquez and Pedrosa, and then we have to start looking at 0.3 of a second, there will be a mighty big controversy. Marquez is eking out an advantage at the front, and Rossi will feel he's got a chance of getting into second place past Pedrosa, but that may not matter. Well, it will matter, but he's got to be into second place by 0.3 of a second for it to stick.
Yeah, I think he's pretty safe in third. It looks like he's broken the resolve of Johan Zarco, who's now 1.5 seconds back. In fact, Zarco is losing time. Cal Crutchlow's gone wide at turn 12. So Crutchlow wide. He's been trying to hunt down Zarco as Aleix Espargaro goes out, probably just to try and get some information. Maybe just try and pick up some points. He's rejoined the race after destroying that Michelin front tyre. You wonder if Cal Crutchlow's lost the chance to finish fourth ahead of Zarco now with that mistake in the braking zone for turn number 12.
You think he probably has. It's a great shame, but still running in 5th place. Cal Crutchlow, as we ride with him, is 7.5 laps to go here in Texas. It could be a familiar man at the front. Here is Crutchlow.
Yeah, Marquez has got the hammer down, Nick. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race, the first 2:04 lap of the day then from Marquez, a 2:04.913. A full 0.6 of a second quicker last time around than Dani Pedrosa, and his advantage for the first time in this 21-lap race is over a second.
Here is Lorenzo. Andrea Iannoni's got past Jack Miller, as you can see. There he is on the factory Suzuki. And just behind him is Jonas Folger, Danilo Petrucci 11, Scott Redding 12, Hector Barber 13, Tito Rabat 14. I think Bradley Smith is going to cross the line in 15th place, so another point for KTM. Tell you what, it is going to kick off here, because I think Valentino Rossi really fancies his chances of getting past Dani Pedrosa and getting into second place. And if he does that, and then we have this 0.3 of a second, that decision is going to be queried by a lot of people.
Because he won't know, will he? Of course.
No, he won't. And I wouldn't imagine. Are they going to tell him?
You communicate to him on the pit
They've
board.
not said it yet.
I don't think they can they? What do they say?
Well, you sort of have short little keywords that you put on there, but at the moment it is still just says 2 seconds Zarco, 6 laps to go, and how much he's got Dani Pedrosa in front.
Well, you know, those 0.3 of a second at the end of the race, if he finishes just ahead of Dani Pedrosa, could be the difference between 4 World Championship points.
That's right.
Which could be pivotal come the end of the season, and it could deny the chance of increasing his advantage over Vinales at the top of the standings.
What an interesting situation. Well, there is Dani Pedrosa. Valentino Rossi is being penalised at the end of the race. They take 0.3 of 1 second off his race time following an incident with Johan Zarco. Rossi had to run off the track. He was nudged by Zarco.
If he loses second because of that penalty, I'm glad I don't have to be the one to tell Rossi, Nick.
Actually, funny, I just had a phone call. They take Nick down and inform him.
Marquez is checking out. He's clearing off into the Texas sun here because he's just done another fastest lap of the race, a 2:04.899. Last time around, he was 0.8 of a second quicker than Dani Pedrosa, so his lead is almost 2 seconds now.
This is an interesting situation, isn't it? Iannoni really mad at Ducati. Lost his place there last year despite winning the Austrian Grand Prix. The man that replaced him, Jorge Lorenzo. Iannoni, he's desperate to finish a race on the Suzuki. He's probably equally as desperate to beat Jorge Lorenzo, isn't he?
Not half. Yeah, and there's no history, of course, between those two, is
Oh,
there?
no. No, of course, they even had a bit of a coming together in Argentina, but Barcelona last year. Wow.
Yeah, that will be a big carrot being dangled in front of Andrea Iannoni.
The trouble is, he will take the carrot, won't he? And that's great for us, but anything could happen.
He'll chew it up and spit it out, won't he? That's what he does.
That's exactly right.
But of course, you wonder if Lorenzo's just struggling now with those soft tyres. He's out wide, Iannoni has a look across.
I mean, if Iannoni uses his sense, he will bide his time. The trouble is, he's got Jack Miller behind him as well, isn't he? But surely he will bide his time. Oh, Rossi is closing up on Danny Pedrosa all the time. Could be a late night here, couldn't it?
It's not very often you hear those phrases in the same sentence. Andre Iannone and biding his time.
You know, I knew you would.
Yeah, Rossi's coming closer, isn't he, to Danny Pedrosa. Marc Marquez has just unbelievably started to stretch away. He's almost 3 seconds clear now, Pedrosa in second place, and Rossi is right there.
If you've tuned in, 2 big talking points. Maverick Vinales out of the race with a crash, but Valentino Rossi, who will lead the World Championship if the race results remain the same, has been penalised 3/10 of a second. He'll be taking off his race time at the end of the race. At the moment it doesn't matter because Johan Zarco's too far behind him, but if he gets past Danny Pedrosa and he's not 3/10 of a second in front of him, he will be pushed back to third. And he will not be happy.
And he fancies it because Rossi last time around took nearly half a second out of Pedrosa. He's as close to Danny Pedrosa as he's been for quite some time. Rossi just 3/10 of a second behind the Spanish rider.
3/10, that's got a good ring to it, hasn't it? Yeah. I think we're going to be saying a lot of 3/10 before the end of this race. Iannone. He's stalking Jorge Lorenzo.
He's all over him. He's so much quicker. He's just got to be patient here and pick the right moment to move through on Lorenzo because he's got the superior pace. No doubt about that. Just got to, I almost said bide his time again there. I'll steer clear of that one.
Trouble is probably that the Ducati will outgun him down the main straight. Probably before they get there would be the best thing, and that's exactly what he might do. Because they're coming down now towards turn 11. Is Iannone lining up the Ducati? He is, but Lorenzo's late on the brakes and there's no way through, and he won't get him on the back straight. He might have another go if he's close enough at turn 12.
Iannone was carrying so much better corner speed through turns 6, 7 and 8. He was able to close right on the back of Lorenzo. What Lorenzo will have here though is an advantage in the horsepower shootout. Crutchlow's come right onto the back wheel of Johan Zarco then in this battle for 4th place. This is all about being the top independent team rider in this race, so there's plenty at stake for these two. Cal Crutchlow's not going to be wanting to be beaten by a rookie who's riding for his old team as well, is he?
That's right, because they know all about Cal Crutchlow. They brought him into Grand Prix racing. He had a great career with Tech 3, did Cal Crutchlow.
Well, this looks like being successive top 5 finishes for Johan Zarco. What a start to his MotoGP career.
Crutchlow closes up with him. Top of the screen you can see Marc Marquez. He is cleared off at the front. He is absolutely superb at this circuit of the Americas. This is the battle for 4th. The battle for 2nd is interesting because of what happened earlier.
Yeah, Marquez is comfortably sitting in the low 205s. Everybody else is in the 206s. Pedrosa got the hurry up last time. He took about 4/10 out of Rossi on the last lap.
To save all the problems afterwards, that might be the best result. Rossi leading the World Championship, and that 3/10 of a second will make absolutely no difference at all. Well, here is the master of Texas. He's the sheriff round here. Nobody argues with him. Oh. Ride him, cowboy.
Easy, Tiger. Blimey, you're taking too many risks when you've got an advantage of nearly 4 seconds, but that's what Marc Marquez does, doesn't it? He just pushes the absolute limit every single corner of every single lap. Just at the back of his shot there again. Rossi's just closed up ever so slightly on Pedrosa, picked up a couple of tenths through the first sector. It's down this back straight where Pedrosa's able to pull out a bit of time back.
But he will be furious if he plans the move to the last lap. You know, Rossi is such a brilliant tactician. Buys his time, then has one big go and gets there, and then told it doesn't count. He's ride a very good race in 2nd place. Danny Pedrosa, of course, led the race for a considerable time. You always felt it was only a matter of time, though, when Marquez finally got past him. Took a couple of attempts, but he would pull away at the front with this amazing record he's got here. That's exactly what has happened. 3.5 laps to go here. Round 3 of the MotoGP World Championship, and Maverick Vinales out of the race. A crash. He was unhurt in the early stages.
This is Repsol Honda. I think they're...
That's Danny's team. That's Danny Pedrosa's team.
Danny Pedrosa. They're putting out a board saying that penalty, which I guess they're trying to communicate to him that Rossi's got some kind of penalty coming his way, because there's been nothing to suggest that Danny Pedrosa's done anything wrong. So
That's a lot of information to divulge, isn't it, when you're in the middle of a race and I don't know, you've got a crucial
What does it, does it say penalty 46? You can't just put out penalty because he might think it's for himself. You know?
I think they've got to be very, very careful indeed what they say. Crutchlow's going to make one move on Johan Zarco.
I don't really understand that because there's only 2 and a bit laps to go here, Nick. Why they would feel the need to communicate to Danny Pedrosa?
It's like they're saying, well, let him go by, he's still got 0.3 of a second. That's just going to wreck the rhythm, isn't it? You're not going to do that.
Just leave him be, let him run his race.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Here's Crutchlow. Crutchlow looks like he's well set to take 4th place from Johan Zarco. It'll be another great performance, though, by Zarco. And this is the battle for 2nd place.
I suppose the counter-argument could be,
is he going to get bored?
Pedrosa, maybe not. You know, will he need to take so many risks to hold Rossi at bay?
Well, here is Rossi. He's closing all the time. The Honda has got that extra horsepower. See how good Rossi. Well, you know how good Rossi is on the brakes coming into turn 12.
I'd love to know what magnet means on Marquez's pit board as he came over the line.
That if it means the same thing that it did last year, it meant that that they could see from the camera shot that his front tyre is degrading quite a lot, and that was their way of telling him.
Zarco under real pressure now from Cal Crutchlow in the battle for 4th place. 2.5 laps to go, and Rossi is closing up on Pedrosa all the time. Are they going to hang out a board? And if they do hang out of a board, is it to the right person? And what the hell is that board going to say?
At the moment, it does not say anything about a penalty.
Here
Rossi's gone for it.
Here goes Rossi up the inside, and Rossi makes it stick. And he's up into 2nd place, but will it count?
He's got to be 0.3 of a second. Well, he's going to be more than 0.3 of a second faster than Danny Pedrosa over the line. This is crucial, absolutely pivotal. 2 laps coming up then for Valentino Rossi. Vital early World Championship points at stake here. Rossi's got to come over the line 0.4 of a second faster than Danny Pedrosa to secure that 2nd place. Has he got enough life in those tyres to not worry about the penalty?
And he doesn't know anything about the penalty. Not a thing about the penalty. He's done what he's got to do.
You know what? He's got the pace, Nick. He's got the pace. He's already clearing off from Pedrosa.
And guys, we got Mayo Meregali is now heading out to the team. The pit board does not say anything just yet, but it looks like they're about to change that.
Wow, what are you going to say? 0.2 of a second, 0.7 of a second. It's probably not going to matter for the 2nd race in succession. Rossi could take over also 2nd place and also the lead in the World Championship. Dylan, what are they saying?
Guys, they are telling him there is a board going up. They're saying penalty, 0.3 penalty. They are going to... Yes, it looks like, no, they've just taken it off. They're still debating as to whether they should or not.
It's a hard decision, isn't it, Matt? It's a hard decision for them.
Well, you know, it's going to be the last lap when he comes over the line next time around. There is, again, confirmation of one of the major talking points of the season so far. A 0.3 second penalty for Valentino Rossi at the end of the race. Dylan?
No, they are just telling him Pedrosa 0.3, no sign of the penalty.
There's no point in telling him it's the last lap. Why try and unsettle him and put some things in his brain? Pedrosa's got 4th.
Sorry guys, with Pedrosa they are saying that, so they are now looking like they're trying to push him to hurry him up.
Zarco's got back at Cal Crutchlow. Crutchlow takes him back. These are 2 lads that are like a rare old scrap, aren't they?
35 versus 5. This could end in tears,
couldn't it? Up to 40, does it?
So Pedrosa, now I think it's game over for Pedrosa. He's 1.5 seconds behind Rossi. Danny Pedrosa's race has run for 2nd place. Pedrosa's getting the board then. A Rossi penalty 0.3, but Danny Pedrosa's not going to find over a second against Rossi on the last lap, surely.
No, it's almost if he thinks, well, I'm settling for that 3rd place. Good podium finish. 1 lap to go for Marc Marquez to rewrite the history books, chasing his 5th successive victory here at Austin in Texas.
Rossi's got 2nd, unless he makes a massive mistake. He came over the line 1.7 seconds quicker than Danny Pedrosa.
So he's not going to ease the pace on the last lap, is he?
No.
So all the drama we've tried to make it, Rossi has got it absolutely. It could have been
pretty contentious, couldn't it?
I think it would have been massively.
And I think there's going to be split opinion amongst the fans around the world and inside the paddock about whether it was harsh penalty against Rossi. It's going to be pretty irrelevant pretty soon, though.
All this going on while at the front, he's just gone on with the business of winning here in Texas once again. Marc Marquez, the world champion, Should be his first podium finish of the season, and typically it will be a win here in America.
Just look at his pace. Lap 15, he got into the 2:04s. That's when he started to make that crucial break. He's only just in the last couple of laps dropped into the 2:06s. It's been another exhibition in Austin for Marc Marquez.
Yeah, and as much as we don't want Maverick Vinales to crash, of course we don't, but it's great for the championship. We've got a new championship leader in Valentino Rossi. Marquez now racking in the points. Just perfect for the first European round in 2 weeks' time at Jerez, which will be, well, start queuing to get in now, I would think.
Well, do you remember, Nick, in pre-season testing, Rossi was lost and being written off. He was lost in Qatar, lost in Argentina. He's going to Jerez to lead the World Championship.
What a great championship this, and what a great world champion. Marc Marquez at his absolute best. Don't forget, Saturday morning he crashed out on 2 occasions in the same practice session. Just doesn't affect him.
No. 2 corners to negotiate then for Marc Marquez to make it a high 5 in a row here at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. 1 corner left for the Spaniard.
It's the world champion making it 5 out of 5 here in Texas. His first podium finish of the season. It had to be a win, but we have a new championship leader.
Valentino Rossi, 2nd place despite that controversial penalty. 3rd ahead of Dani Pedrosa. Cal Crutchlow got the better of that great fight with Johan Zarco for 4th place. Zarco a superb 5th. Andrea Dovizioso 6th. Andrea Iannone and Danilo Petrucci both picked off Jorge Lorenzo very late on. So Iannone 7th, Petrucci 8th. Lorenzo dropped back to 9th. Jack Miller back inside the top 10 yet again. Folger 11th. Scott running over the line in 12th. Rabat 13th. Hector Barber in 14th, and after all the drama and chaos, Alvaro Bautista, despite a crash, is going to score a point.
Should be crossing the line any minute now, Alvaro Bautista. Valentino Rossi, unaware of all the drama back in the pit. But Marc Marquez is back in business. His first Grand Prix victory since he clinched the world title at Motegi in Japan last October.
Yeah, of course, what it does mean with Maverick Vinales crashing out after his own frustration and disappointment in Argentina, Marc Marquez's championship defence firmly back on track here in Texas. The last 9 MotoGP races on American soil then have been won by Marquez. 5 here at the Circuit of the Americas, 3 at the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 1 at Laguna Seca. He has never lost on American soil in MotoGP.
Does Valentino Rossi realise he's leading the World Championship? Absolutely, certainly he does. He's pretty good at working those sort of things out. A 6-point advantage over his teammate Maverick Vinales. Marquez appears from nowhere now to be in 3rd place, and Andrea Dovizioso in 4th. 6 points between Rossi and Vinales. Marquez 18 points down on Rossi.
Cracking on board there of a stand-up wheelie celebration from Valentino Rossi. We're heading to Jerez next. Who won the race there last year? The World Championship leader, Valentino Rossi.
Certainly did. He won both the races in Spain. Great ride by Dani Pedrosa. Really good podium finish, starting on the 2nd row of the grid. Led the race for a long time. Did a terrific job. He was just picked off at the end there, rather like Cal Crutchlow was by Valentino Rossi in the closing stages of the race, like Cal Crutchlow was in Argentina.
Yeah, of course, forgetting all of Dani Pedrosa's injury problems at the end of the last year, Nick. That's Dani Pedrosa's first podium since he won in Misano.
Whoa. And turn 13. This is Pedrosa and Marquez.
It was a great early fight in the first half of the race. That was Maverick Vinales. Sparks flying. That was the end of his victory challenge. Frustration for Vinales. The Top Gun fired blanks today, didn't he?
Certainly did, but he'll be back, and he'll certainly be back at his home track in Jerez, as will Marc Marquez.
It's all immaterial now, Nick, but I just wonder what Valentino Rossi's expression will be like when somebody tells him that he did actually get a penalty. Because it was immaterial in terms of the race result, but I think he won't be happy to be penalised for that incident.
No, I don't think
he will look at that and go, well, what else?
What do you want me to do? Run on and take Zarco out as well?
Because if he carries on turning in, then he wipes them both out.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Well, I don't think he knew. Well, it certainly wasn't deliberate, was it? No, it's a decision that had no bearing on the outcome of the race, but it is interesting that it was made.
I'll tell you what, though, Johan Zarco making moves like that on Valentino Rossi, He's absolutely brilliant. Well, he's already hosed down and in his civvies, isn't he, Maverick Vinales?
He is. It's a salutary lesson, and they've all been there before, haven't they?
Yep.
And he's been there before. He's a Moto3 world champion. He's a Moto2 winner here in Austin. He's won those opening 2 Grand Prix of the season. But if ever Marc Marquez was going to fight back, it was going to be here in Texas.
Yep. Danny Pedrosa there, did everything he could. Marc Marquez, that's a familiar sight in Texas, isn't it?
I think they're pretty pleased. A great day for Honda, actually. First time the factory Hondas have been on the podium this season, and they finished 1st and 3rd. But Valentino Rossi leads the World Championship. Yes, 38 years old, he leads the World Championship after 3 rounds.
Amazing. Another amazing stat as well. There's been 15 podium places in 5 years up for grabs here in Texas, and all 15 of them have been taken by Italians or Spaniards.
Well, that is an amazing record.
Fairly worn rear tyre on one of the factory Hondas there.
Well, I think you'd probably expect that. Yeah, he knows now he's leading the world. Oh, that 0.3 of a second, Valentino. We just want to have a quick word with you about that. Well, I'll be hosting the press conference later, and there is 100% certainty that question will come up, won't it? But it's not something he's got to worry about at the moment.
5 pole positions in Texas, 5 race wins now in Texas for Marc Marquez. An unblemished record continues for him. Some great rides further down the field, though. Johan Zarco in 5th after a great fight with Crutchlow. Crutchlow, the top independent rider, in 4th. Andrea Iannone, after his problems, came through to 7th place.
Brave ride by Iannone, wasn't it? Is Zarco. Is he describing the incident? I think he may well have been there. Yeah.
This is it. This is the lead up. Rossi was out wide at the first corner, so he lost momentum and drive going down into turn 2, which allowed Zarco to close up. Now this is going to be one of the big talking points of the race. Now, I don't know what Rossi could do. Rossi was on his line.
If Rossi had carried on, he'd have taken him and Zarco off, wouldn't he? Let's look at it from a different angle. That doesn't change my mind at all.
Well, like I said, it's going to be the most talked about moment of the race, and definitely, I think he's just looking there at Johan Zarco saying,
that's good. Shake of the hand.
Well, he was warned, wasn't he? He said in Qatar that Franco Morbidelli, after his battles with Zarco in Moto2 last year, had told him. I love that guy. He is absolutely brilliant.
He's smiling now, look, yeah. We're going to see a lot more of him. That I can promise you.
Yeah, there's probably a bit of black paint on the side of Rossi's leathers.
Look at the difference in size here. Cal Crutchlow and Danny Pedrosa. Great ride by Crutchlow, and been an easy weekend. Crash in qualifying, big crash on Friday morning. 3rd place in Argentina. He's put that LCR Honda in 4th place, just pipping Zarco at the end. And as we know, Zarco fought back immediately, didn't he, with Crutchlow as well.
The one thing you know about Johan Zarco is if you're going to pass him, you better make sure you make it hang in there, because he's going to snap back at you at the next corner.
Brilliant race, another completely different race from the first 2. The 3 races we've had, Qatar, Argentina, and here in Texas, have been completely different. And it just sums up this MotoGP World Championship. And really, as far as the championship goes, points-wise, it's a fantastic result, isn't it? It just throws everything in now.
Yeah, that could be a decisive moment in the championship come the final reckoning in Valencia. Valentino Rossi, as Nick said, now leading the World Championship by 6 points.
So here's Danny Pedrosa. What a ride into 3rd place for the Honda man.
Well, Danny, congratulations, your first podium of the year. What a race. You were leading for quite some time. Great battle with Marc and then with Valentino. But in the end, you were showing your team, I think, just what problems with the front tyre?
Yes, very happy today because I was leading. I did a good start. You know, could have a freeway at the beginning of the race. Actually, quite happy with the ridings, and just was the end when I was in second. I tried to keep second place, but front tire at the right side was completely gone, and I was about to crash in the right corners. So I tried to save the race. I crashed last race, so I didn't want to, and basically happy to finish on the podium. A bit disappointed at the end. but we made quite a big step, and we hope we can repeat this in the next race.
Thanks, Danny. Congratulations.
Yeah, really good ride by Danny Pedrosa. First podium, and first podium since he won in Misano last September for Danny Pedrosa. That would do his confidence a massive amount of good going into the Spanish Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time.
This was his problem at the end of the race. Front grip in the right-hand corners. He said he just decided to back it off and bring it home for a podium after crashing out in Argentina. Can't wait to hear what Valentino Rossi is going to tell Dylan about the incident with Johan Zarco.
We are about to find out. Valentino Rossi with Dylan, the new World Championship leader.
Oh, Valentino. Oh, Valentino, congratulations. You are leading the World Championship now. And, I mean, when you first came to Austin, we know it's never been one of the best tracks for you. Would you have thought that? And, you know, especially with the patience at the end, when you saw Danny, were you sure you can catch him?
Was a very difficult race, but I was able to stay very close to the Hondas. And sometimes I lose a bit, but I can stay more or less because I have some point of the track where I was very strong. And after I saw that Marquez had a bit of margin and the go, but Danny, I know that have my front tire the same, and I know that on the right you can be at the limit, you know. So I was at the limit, but I saw also him at the limit, so I was able to overtake and push 2 laps, and very happy. We are at the top. We have a lot of points, and also it's my best result in Austin. Thanks.
Thanks, Valentino. Congratulations.
Oh, and by the way, you've been penalised 3 days. No, fantastic. Valentino Rossi leads the World Championship. 3 podium finishes in the opening 3 Grand Prix of the season. A third, a second, and a first. Shake of the hands there between Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. His 5th successive win here in Austin. He's with Dylan.
Well, Mark, congratulations. You are still the king of Texas. 5 out of 5. I mean, at the start, it looked like a good fight. Of course, then you were told Maverick crashed out as well. I mean, what was going through your head? Did you know you could win it anyway?
Yeah, you know, it was quite difficult race. Looks easy, but it was not like this. Especially because, you know, in the beginning, I tried to stay calm because I chose the hard front tire, and I know that. You know, I didn't know the feeling because since Friday I didn't use this tire, and then I start to work. I saw immediately that was kind of chatter in front, but then I said, okay, take passion, the others will drop a little bit. And then I was able there to keep consistent until the end. When I opened 3 seconds, 4 seconds, then I start to manage the distance, and really happy because, you know, after Argentina, looks really far, but now again we are there, we are really close, and happy. Championship is really long. We must be patient, we need to work hard with the team because step by step we are improving a lot.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to Marc Marquez. 11 wins now, isn't it, in America, straight wins, and 5 here in Austin. And that's when he had a comfortable lead in the race up at turn 1. I remember that incident well. But if your surname's Marquez, that's the way you approach life, and that's the way you ride a motorcycle. Yeah, and that's why you're the youngest ever Premier Class World Champion.
Doesn't it just show you how quickly the championship picture can change?
Yeah.
You know, Marc Marquez firmly back in the hunt now. He's only 12 points behind Viñales, 18 behind Valentino Rossi, who's having a chat down in Parc Ferme now. Is that Kenny Roberts Sr. down there, just having a little...
He'll tell him there's 3.
Give him the,
He'll tell him it's
shall we say
it's 3 minutes probably.
He'll offer him the benefit of his opinion, won't he, Kenny?
He will. Yeah. God, I bet there's newspaper offices all over the world, and Matt knows all about this a lot more than me now. So we've got to have 2 more pages. Ross is leading the World Championship. No, hold it. Yeah. That's the effect he has on the championship. And, you know, I don't know if you can get any more people in a race, but the fact that Valentino Rossi is leading the World Championship, I'm going to assure you there'll be more people trying to get in there. It promises to be one hell of a weekend. Our first weekend in Europe at the legendary Jerez circuit in southern Spain. Just want a bit of that blue sky there. So the riders making their way to the podium. Most people will be making their way home back to Europe tomorrow. Quite a few have stayed out since going to Argentina. Others went home for Easter and came back. But we're then into Europe, and some legendary circuits: Jerez, Le Mans, Mugello, Barcelona, Assen, all coming up next, and a championship. Well, that's been thrown right on its head. 1 for the crash of Maverick Vinales, 2 for the performance of Valentino Rossi, and 3 by the win of Marc Marquez. Riders making their way up to the podium. Really good day for Honda. Their first podium finishes at the factory riders, because Cal Crutchlow had a a podium finish in Argentina. There they come, Marquez and Pedrosa. A quick chat, probably about front tyres. We'll wait to Valentino Rossi also to arrive. Been a great day's racing here at Austin. It's so important to have a race in the United States of America. I mean, all 3 classes provide such entertainment. There's little more they can do than that, is there? There's been some fabulous races
stuff
today.
Marc Marquez to get on the podium. And they just got his footprints embedded in the top step here.
Yeah, like Hollywood Boulevard,
yeah, exactly.
wherever it is. Yeah. Kevin Swan shakes hands with Valentino Rossi. So here we go. Danny Pedrosa first out, 3rd place. Valentino Rossi in 2nd place, but the new World Championship leader. But a familiar sight on the top step of the podium here in Austin. It's Marc Marquez.
Yeah, those 3 riders have got a fair few podiums between them, haven't they, in their Grand Prix career. Danny Pedrosa about to collect his 145th World Championship podium trophy. Was that Shuhei Nakamoto on the podium?
Do you know, I think he may well be. He is there. Somebody told me they had a bit of a party last night, and he was leading the way. He has retired.
He retired,
now,
yeah.
But he is here. That's great to see him.
Former HRC Vice President, of course. Danny Pedrosa then 3rd place. Ricky Fowler, of course, the professional golfer, presenting him the trophy. Pedrosa's 104th MotoGP podium. Kevin Schwantz about to present the 2nd place trophy to Valentino Rossi. Not sure about the red trousers, Kevin, but I'll let you off.
Yeah, but he's in his hometown, the 1993 500cc world champion. Wow, could this man be world champion in 2017? He's made a great start and he leads the championship.
His 188th Premier Class podium.
And it's Marc Marquez. He wins here again in Austin. Marc Marquez's first podium finish of the season. Marc Marquez wins here for the 5th successive year. Marc Marquez moves up into 3rd place in the World Championship. The man on his right, he's 38 years old, and he leads the World Championship, Valentino Rossi. Well, his younger brother, Alex Marquez, is 21 today, which means he can legally have a drink here in America. There should be some party in Austin tonight. Brother San, to drink of the champagne, the retired HRC Vice President. Chink of the bottles between Marquez and Rossi. And they line up on the podium for the photographs. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today as much as we have. The sun has shone. The American crowd have been absolutely fantastic, and we have seen 3 amazing races. And we have a 38-year-old leading the Premier Motorsport World Championship. Take that all in one go. And that familiar cry comes up wherever you go in the world. Oh, stand by, Jerez. The invasion will start, I would think, probably tomorrow. Round 4 of the championship, the first European race of the season, the Spanish Grand Prix at another legendary venue.